That's when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm having a great day, a bad day. That's definitely my guilty pleasure.
Hi, I'm Kara. You're watching Really Famous, where you really get to know your favorite celebrities on an intimate level because I was a therapist. So that's how I roll. Now you are about to really get to know LaLa Anthony. She is so famous. You've seen her on Instagram and a million other places. But do you know what she's really like? You're about to find out.
Well, I always had a really outgoing personality. I was always the go-getter. Like no one could tell me no. I probably didn't listen to my mom a lot. I always wanted to do what I wanted to do. But that drive kind of took me into my career. And I started interning when I was 16 years old at a radio station and was able to get on the radio as a teenager, which was a really great experience and just kind of learn from there. And from there, I became like an MTV VJ. And then after that, producer and actor and so many great things. But I think my drive is what keeps me going because I'm never content. I'm always like, okay, that was great. And I'm proud of my achievements, but it's like, okay, well, what's next? What can we do? What can we do next? So I think I have definitely been like that since I was a child.
What is one of the things that you feel most proud of, like your accomplishment wise?
Well, motherhood is what I'm most proud of. I have a 13-year-old son, and being a mom is my greatest job and obviously what brings me the most joy. But I'm really proud of, breaking out of boxes that people tried to put me in throughout my career. It's like, okay, you're on the radio, that's all you can do. You're on the TV, now you're a VJ, that's all you're going to do. All right, you can't be a radio host and a VJ and now be an actor. And I was on the #1 series on television called Power for 6 years. So it's like I love breaking out of these boxes, and I tell people all the time, especially young women, like, don't let people put you in a box. Like, who started this thing where you can only do one thing and that's it? Why can't you do multiple things and be great at them? And I'm consistently trying to prove myself in different lanes and areas and not just get pigeonholed into one thing.
You have this advice because you experienced it. So like, did people try to box you right away? Like, what were some of the things? Can you like kind of give me an example of one of the
Yeah, so
times?
radio, it's like once you're on the radio, that's it. People just say that's going to be your whole
So
career.
who's
Once you're a
people? Like, who are the
VJ, a
people?
lot of people say it again.
Like, who were the people? Like, who were they? What did they say to you? I don't mean by name, but like,
Right.
what was it like?
It could be the public, it could be other people that worked with me. It could say like, well, you've already made it, what more do you want? You're on a radio station, like this was your goal or dream. Or when I worked at MTV, they would always say, this is like the peak, nothing really happens after this, because a lot of MTV VJs, after MTV, you kind of didn't really keep up with what they did or what happened. So we were told while we were there by people that work with us or people that worked there before, like, be careful, because after MTV, a lot of times nothing happens for you. And I was like, well, why is that? And just try to figure out ways to not get put in that box. So those are just some examples of people that did try to box me in or just make me feel not confident about trying to do something else.
Right. So, okay. So how did you do that? So obviously you successfully did it, but like,
Hmm.
how did you do that emotionally?
I mean, I never came from an easy life, so I know what struggle is. I know what, fighting for what you want is. And I was like, I'm not going to let somebody tell me what I can't do, and I'm always going to chase my dreams and what makes me happy. And preparation is the key, because you want to be prepared when these opportunities are given to you. Like, you want to be ready for them. So you can say all day, well, I want to be an actor, and then you get opportunity and you're not prepared for that. You're asking for it, but you're not prepared for it. That's why I say, it's so cliche, like hard work pays off, but it really does. And you want to be prepared, so when the opportunities present themselves, because they might not come often, you're ready to knock it out the park and kind of go to whatever that next level is for yourself.
Yeah. So what kind of kid were you? What was your family life like? Like, what was it like for you growing up?
So I came from a really big family. I'm Puerto Rican, so it was music and food in the house all the time, a lot of love. Um, just I have a very, very close knit family. I was always the most outgoing. I always had something to say. I always, made sure my voice was heard no matter what. And again, I think those are the personality traits that I still have with me to this day that has made me successful in radio, TV, New York Times bestselling author. I think, just feeling like I have something to say and I want people to hear what I have to say.
And how did you find people who were the right people to surround yourself with? Because I think that's sometimes hard to do, is find the right people
Hmm.
who know you and believe in who you are and believe in
Of
the
course.
possibilities for you. So how did you find people like that?
So my mom for sure is, the main person I surround myself with. But again, I'm so rooted in family that my family was always rooting for me. And then along the way, I picked up mentors and just people that I knew, were really rooting for me. My mentor is still the same now that it was when I was 16 years old, a man by the name of Shaka Zulu, who took me under his wing at the radio station and showed me so much and really helped build my career. So, you just stick to the good people that have helped you along the way. I always say, like, nobody made it where they're at on their own. We all had to have help along the way. There's had to be some help. And, I always stick with the people that kind of have stuck with me through the years.
And what do you do when you come up with somebody who's like, a negative person?
Well, I mean, you kind of got to block the haters out, I guess I say. And my mom always tells me, worry when they're not talking about you, when no one's saying anything about you. So, it comes with the territory. And I know that. And I think over the years of being in this industry, I've developed a tough spine and realized that everyone's not going to like you. Everyone's not going to have something positive to say, no matter what you do. I can have a blue dress on now. Someone say, I hate it. I wish it was a red dress. I could have red hair. I hate it. It's just what it is. And I had to get out of the need to be liked by everyone, because growing up I was that girl who was super popular and had so many friends. And then when you get in this industry and Instagram and social media and people are talking stuff about you, and you're just like, well, why? They don't even know me. If they knew me, you have to get out of that, trying to please everyone and just ultimately do what makes you happy.
So how did you do that? Or like, who helped you through that?
We all have a need to want to be liked. We all have a need to, you know, want people to like us. And it takes time to just get more comfortable with yourself and who you are, and realize that, your happiness is all that really matters, not other people's opinions. I think that does take time, but definitely having a strong family or friends around you, and also being strong within yourself, and affirmations every day, telling yourself, I'm good enough, I'm beautiful enough, I can do this, whatever those words are to make you feel better. I always say we got to look within and stop trying to get validation from the outside, because that never goes well. So meditation, affirmations, therapy, I always
Oh,
recommend
tell me
for
about
people.
therapy. I'm a therapist. I'm an ex-therapist. So tell me about
Okay.
therapy.
I think therapy is just super helpful. And I think for so long in the African American, Hispanic communities, therapy has been frowned upon. And I'm just glad we're in a day and age now where people are speaking out about their mental health and wanting to, be in a great mental space. And therapy is no longer, frowned upon, and people are talking about it. And it makes a difference when you have a neutral person to talk to that doesn't know your mom, doesn't know your dad, doesn't know the friend, doesn't know the coworker, and can just give you really honest advice and opinions based on who you are and your personality. I think that's key.
Yeah. So did you go to therapy or do you go to therapy?
Yeah, I do go to therapy, and I've been to therapy before. I wish I was a little bit more consistent. I get so busy that sometimes, I'm not in therapy, but I always remind myself that you shouldn't just run to therapy when things are going bad. It should be a
Yeah.
consistent thing. And some of us only turn to it when we've hit the wall, or our life is just starting to go downhill. It's like, oh, I got to run to my therapist. I'm trying to do better at being more consistent with it.
Yeah. And I bet your therapist probably gave you some insights or whatever that you think about still, even when you're not in therapy and you
Of
try to apply
course.
them.
Of course. And you want to just apply that to your everyday life, and just make that part of your new norm, whatever that is.
So what are some of the things that you learned in therapy for yourself personally that you think about or that you feel like have helped you?
Self validation, again, not just looking to please everyone, and understanding that no matter what you do, not everyone's going to like it, and being okay with that. Learning to put yourself first, which is something I'm still working on as moms and career women and wives and girlfriends, and just women in general. Like, everything always comes before us, and we feel so guilty when we put ourselves first. And just learning to not feel guilty about that, and understanding I could still be a great mom while taking care of myself, first, and making sure I'm in a good mental space so I can be great for everyone else. So I learned a lot of that. And again, I'm a work in progress. I'm nowhere near where I need to be, but I'm constantly changing and evolving and trying to get better.
Yeah, well, I think part of it is just identifying that we're all a work in progress, right? And so
Yes.
it's okay that you're not perfectly there. You shouldn't be.
Hmm.
Like if you feel like you're at that spot where everything is set,
Right.
then you're not evolving. You want to
Exactly.
continually evolve. So that's good. So
Exactly.
what
I
are some
totally
of the
agree.
affirmations that you tell yourself?
I am good enough. Turn all negatives into a positive. Definitely learning how to speak about myself. Words are really powerful. So some of the affirmations is like, be good to yourself. Say kind words to yourself, because a lot of times, like, oh, I don't look good today, or I don't like how I look, or somebody gives you a compliment, it's like, well, you come back with something else. It's like, receive all of that and be mindful of your words, because words have power. So I'm learning that as well. But definitely, I am good enough, turning all negatives into positives, and being kinder to myself with my words.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I would figure that. I mean, your social media following is so big and
Mhm.
you post what, like, I saw a post the other day. You're like, oh, I haven't posted in like 3 days or something like that. So
Right.
normally you post more often. So
Hmm.
how does that, like, how do you balance that and knowing everybody is sort of literally looking at everything that you do and that you post? Like, how do you balance that? Because we all have days where we can't deal.
Yeah. So the days that I feel like I can't deal are the days that I won't post. Then, I post, I take pictures, I try to post on my good days, but also I think people respect authenticity and respect seeing you when you're not perfectly made up and hair perfect. Like when you're just like, today's one of those days, or I'm just having one of those days. That's relatable. That's being a human. That's normal. So I think that it's very important to show those sides too, because people get mistaken that every day is a hair and makeup day, and she's just so picture perfect, and that's not reality. That's not realistic. So I do like to show a little bit of everything, but if I'm just having a completely bad day or one of those days, then I'll take a break from that and just use that day to focus on myself, my son, and not even worry about social media or anything like that.
Yeah, that's cool. Again, that's, I'm sure it's a work in progress. That just
Yeah.
that one aspect of life. So, what is one of the lessons that you have learned about being a parent?
Oh, being a parent, I've learned that there is no manual or textbook when it comes to just figuring everything out. There's been thousands of books written, but everything is based on your child and your child's personality. You have to understand your child and do what works best for them. What works for my child might not work for someone else's kid. So I just always lead with love and hope that I'm doing the best I can, and my kid knows how much I love him and I want him to be a great man, learn how to respect women, treat women a certain way, just be an overall good person. So I always lead with love. My son, I tell him I love him probably 500 times a day. He's probably like, Mom, you told me that 10 times already and it's only 6 o'clock in the morning. But I just want him to grow up knowing how much he was loved and having a great relationship with me, because I really feel strongly that sons' relationship with their mothers really affects how they treat women and their relationships with women.
Yeah, for sure. I think there are like
Hmm.
studies saying that and everything that show
Yeah.
that, yeah, that support that. So, like, if he were to describe you, how do you think what do you think he would say?
My mom's crazy. She's so fun. She embarrassed me sometimes. She's cool. My son and I like the same music. I had him, a little bit younger, so we kind of grew up in a sense together. So I like that I'm in the know of anything that he's talking about. I know what's going on. He loves all the people that I know. So all his favorite rappers or singers are all friends of mine, and we call them and FaceTime. I think he thinks that's pretty cool. I think overall he would say his mom's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, is he really in touch with his Puerto Rican roots as well?
He is. I mean, we're Afro Latinos, so we're African American and Latino. So he knows. He definitely knows when we go home for the holidays. It's Spanish music and Spanish food, which is great. He knows his culture, his heritage, and he knows his African American side, as well. He's well versed in that stuff.
And how are you handling like everything that's going on, everything, with social
Yeah, I mean, it's been
injustice?
hard. I say anyone who says it's been a breeze is not being honest. And you have to go on the roller coaster ride. You have to know that every day is not going to be an up day. There are going to be some down days. And with our kids, my son, just putting him in front of a computer and saying, hey, do online school now for 7 hours a day. That's not going to be easy for
So
anyone. And
hard.
you have to understand that and check in with your kids and just make the best of it. We're all going through this together. So just got to make the best of it. There are days that I wake up and I'm like, is this even real? Like this world right now, I could have never imagined it. It just doesn't even seem real. You go out, everyone has masks on. It just seems like an alternate universe in some sense. But if we work together and pay attention to, the precautions and staying safe, hopefully we can get the numbers down and resume back to, normal life.
Yeah. So you think everything's going to be okay eventually?
Eventually, but I think it's going to take us working together as a country and a team, because what you see now, like I'm in Los Angeles now working on a movie, and LA just got shut down, but then New
Mm.
York and these other places are wide open. So it's like you can't, everybody has to work together and maybe do one big bang so that we can just be good moving forward, because every state is kind of having like its own agenda. So I don't see how you ever really get ahead that way.
Yeah, a national strategy of some kind. So
Hmm.
are you an optimist, do you think, or a pessimist? I think
No,
I
I'm
can
an
answer that
optimist.
already, but
I'm an optimist. I always see the good in people and things, and I always have a positive attitude. I don't think pessimists would do. I would be miserable all day long. I'm always looking for the good in everything and staying positive. I've seen myself, defy odds against me. I've seen people in my family defy odds. You see it all the time. So I'm definitely an optimist for sure.
and how about an introvert versus an extrovert?
Extrovert all day long. Like I'm such a people person. I'm social, which is even more why COVID is just like hurting me, because I'm used to, being out and talking to people and having that human interaction. I'm also a Cancer. So Cancers are super affectionate and loving. So you take that away from us, and it's just like we just feel like we're going crazy. So it's been tough in that standpoint, but definitely, yeah, an extrovert.
And how about your son? Is he an introvert or an extrovert
I would
or
say he's in the middle. He's not as outgoing as I am. He takes a little bit more of the traits from his dad, which is a bit more laid back and just kind of chill. That's his personality. But if you get him in the right setting, then he can definitely be an extrovert and just kind of be out there in a sense.
yeah, that's cool. So you're
Hmm.
co-parenting with your
Hmm.
ex. So how
Hmm.
is that going? Like how are you doing with that?
It's great. When you love your child, that's all that matters, and we made this child out of love. We want our son to feel loved, and yeah, we do a great job. We get along great. It's awesome.
Yeah. So what's one of the struggles of
He's
just
not my
being a
ex, he's
parent?
still my husband,
Oh,
but
your
we're
husband.
we're co-parenting right now.
I'm sorry. I don't have my facts
Yeah.
straight. Okay, he's your husband. You're
Hmm.
co-parenting. Or wait, do you
Hmm.
live together? Are you together?
No, we don't live together.
Okay, but he's your husband and you're co-parenting. I read there was an article in Essence magazine, a big story about you. And I
Yeah.
read you said something so great, which was that, your son is watching both of you. So like
Hmm.
what kind of person or does he need to see? What kind of people does he need to see? What kind of
Yeah.
relationships? I thought that was really
Thank
from
you.
the heart
Thank
and
you. Yeah, our
smart.
kids are watching everything we do. They're paying close attention. So, got to be careful. And sometimes, in the heat of emotions, you want to lash out and say certain things. And that's another thing I talk to, especially young girls, about all the time. In the age of social media, you just run and put everything on social media and you're angry. And then you guys make up and you're kicking yourself for doing that. You just got to be mindful of those things, because if you have kids, they're paying attention to all of that.
Totally. So
Hmm.
what is one of the life lessons that you've learned with respect to relationships or love?
Very difficult. It's very difficult. But at the end of the day, same thing with parenting. If you lead with love, you'll always get a good result. And a good result might not necessarily mean, driving off into the sunset together, but being able to, you know, get along and be parents to a beautiful child. That's what matters. So definitely lead with love and don't let temporary emotions, get in the way of things.
Yeah, that's good advice. How about a
Yeah.
life lesson from Hollywood or show business?
Oh, it's funny. My old agent used to tell me all the time, it's show business, not show friends. And that always stuck with me. Like it's still a business. A lot of times you wonder, well, how could they do this to me? That was my friend. At the end of the day, when you're dealing with people in business, you can like them and you can be friends, but at the end of the day, the bottom line, it is show business. It's still a business and people are looking out for them, for their businesses. And it's just something to be mindful of. Sometimes we get friendships and business, those lines get blurred and confusing. So it's good to remember. I always say show business, not show friends.
That's good. I feel like you would be the kind of person who would like be friend because you're so friendly that I feel like
Yeah.
you would feel like people are friends. But at the same time, you've been in show business for so long that you probably
I've been in
learned
it
that.
enough to like be able to spot it and know what it is for sure.
So what do you spot? What are you looking for? What are those things you see?
When people are just kind of being around you to see what they can get from you when they're not genuine. I mean, I don't always know, but you can get a sense when you've been in it long enough, like people's intentions and angles, and you just want to be mindful of that. And then you just have some really awesome, genuine people that rock with you and want to see you do well. And it's important that you embrace them and show them love, and just be mindful of the other things, because it all comes with part of the territory.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Hmm.
I wanted to ask you about psoriasis too, because you
Yes.
have psoriasis. You were just on a podcast with Cindy
Hmm.
Lauper. It's like she's hosting
Hmm.
the new podcast, right?
Yeah,
So,
she's so awesome.
she seems like she would be so awesome. Is she?
Yeah.
Was she amazing?
So amazing, and someone, like, as a kid growing up, I just thought was so cool with her clothing and her hairstyle. So to be able to do the PSO In the Know podcast with her, which was sponsored by Novartis, was super cool, because psoriasis is something that I've lived with for many years, and there was a time where that was something people didn't want to talk about. It's like, oh, you have psoriasis, and now it's like, look, you can still live your life and be on TV and act and do great things and have psoriasis. And I love that this episode, which you can actually find on PSOintheknow.com, just really talks about coping and living with psoriasis, and why it doesn't have to just shut your life down or keep you, in the dark, or keep you at home. And Cindy and I had just an incredible conversation that was really cool. And I hope everybody could just check it out.
So, did you kind of hide it that you had psoriasis for a while, or no?
I didn't know what it was for a long time. It's like, everyone wants to diagnose, oh, it's dry skin, it's this, it's that. And when I finally knew what it was, just the word, you're like, oh, well, what is that? I had heard about it here and there. But then I did my research and just got on a treatment that works for me, and have just been able to continue life. And that's my message to other people out there living with psoriasis. And that's why I love the PSO In the Know. It just gives so many helpful, you know, tips and just ways to cope with it if you have questions. And it's a really great community of people that are just talking about living with psoriasis and not being ashamed of it. Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Like, we're normal, we're human, we're fine.
Yeah, it's just that thing too that you're talking about before about being relatable. I mean, there's so many
Yeah.
people, who it helps to see that, oh, okay,
Yeah,
yeah, we can talk
exactly.
about it, it's fine, normal.
Right.
So we'll put a link to that as well.
Oh,
So are
thank you,
there
I
any
appreciate
project?
that.
Oh, sure. Are there other projects that, like, your book? Do you want us to put links, promote?
Well,
What would
right
that
now
be?
I'm on a TV series called The Shy. It's on Showtime, and
Yeah.
it's produced and written by Lena Waithe, who I love. So season 3 just aired. Hopefully we'll start shooting season 4 soon, depending on, COVID and everything. But definitely would love for people to check out The Shy, and, got some production stuff that'll be announced soon. I'm also here in LA shooting a movie, but keeping that a little under wraps too. But some good information is going to be trickling down. But for now, definitely encourage people to check out Power, which is a TV series I was on Stars for 6 seasons, and The Shy on Showtime, which is really great.
And what's happening with the Shy as far as the COVID filming? Have you talked
Well,
to
we're
like?
supposed to go back in January, but things, are ever evolving and ever changing. So hopefully, we'll get back on set with precautions and everything soon, but they haven't give us like our final date yet.
Okay, and you produced some Broadway too, right?
I did a Eclipse on Broadway with Lupita Nyong'o and Denai Guerra. It was an incredible experience. I had never done anything on Broadway. I love producing. I was like, if I'm going to produce something, this would be the thing to produce. And it had an incredible run, and just really highlighted so much amazing talent, so many amazing African females in the world. It was just really, really a strong production and thing to be a part of, and it's something, I'll never forget.
That's cool. So who do
Girl
you
power
look
at its finest.
for sure? Who do you look up to most? Like who, one, two, three, mention as many people as you want, but who do you see and you feel like, oh, just love that person, want to be more like them?
Oh, my mom. I really, honestly, I look up to my mom. It's just, she's not in the industry, obviously, but just a strong woman, was a single mom, and everything that she's done for us, and grew up in, the Marcy projects in Brooklyn, and was able to make a life for all of us. I applaud that. Those are the kind of women that I look up to, and I want to be more like, and still is kind and loving and positive, and never got in the way of me in my dreams, and always supported me. So I would definitely say my mom for sure.
Okay, what's your mom's name? Let's give her a shout out.
Carmen.
Carmen. Okay, shout out
Hmm.
to Carmen. So my last question has two parts. Okay, the first
Hmm.
part is, what do you think the image is of you? Like if just somebody who doesn't really know you, how would they describe you?
I think they would say that I'm outgoing. I'm, friends with a lot of people. I'm relatable. I think they would say I'm humble, which is all things that make me feel great because that's how I feel like I really am. But I think people would just be like, she just seems so cool, or someone that I would like to have as my friend. I think that's what people would say.
Okay. And so that's people who don't know you. How about people who
Mhm.
know you? Like, how would they describe you, who are close to you?
Loving, super loving, Cancer, sensitive, loving, caring. Definitely would go super hard for the people that I love and care about. I think that's what they would tell you.
And do they have ideas about you, or at least probably be the people who don't know you? Do they have ideas about you that they think you are when they really don't know you at all and they're totally way off base?
I mean, I don't know. I think everyone has an idea when they don't know somebody. They form their own opinions. But again, like we talked about earlier, I try not to get caught up in those things. And then I'll be trying to figure out, well, why do they think this and why do they think that? I just walk in my light and my authenticity. And if you like it, great. And if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine too. I mean, there's billions of people in the world. You can't expect everyone to, like what you're doing or whatever. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, well, it's like you said. I mean, if people weren't thinking bad things too, then
Yeah,
people aren't seeing you.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
if I were to ask you, who is LaLa Anthony, what would you say?
LaLa Anthony is a mom, is a hard ass working woman, is a friend, and just someone that really wants to see the best in people and want to see people live to their full potential. And I'm the greatest cheerleader for anyone who's out there trying to, accomplish their goals, and definitely a dependable person.
Okay. And what's one thing that you're still working on that you really hope you'll be able to accomplish? Or not, when I say accomplish, don't take that the wrong way. I don't mean like successfully or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
One thing that you're
when I
still
said
working
putting
on.
myself first, like I'm so busy and everything comes before me, and everyone's like, "Well, what do you like to do in your personal time?" Like I have no personal time. I really don't have really a life. It's my son, it's work, it's movie sets, which is amazing and everything I've ever dreamed of. But working on being okay with putting myself first and not feeling bad about it. Sometimes we feel guilty about those things, and just getting better at not feeling bad. Even if I take a day off, I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like I got to work. And it's like not feeling guilty about taking care of me. That's something I want to definitely get better at.
Oh, I forgot one question. Sorry, just one more.
Mhm.
What is your guilty pleasure?
Nestle Crunch. Everyone knows that about me. Nestle Crunch is my guilty pleasure. That's when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm having a great day, a bad day. That's definitely my guilty pleasure.
Okay, so you just called it Nestle Crunch. I'm going to tell my husband, who swears it's called the Crunch Bar. And I said, no, it's called the Nestle Crunch.
It's called a, yeah. Well, yeah. I just call it Crunch, but yeah, Nestle Crunch.
Oh, you do call it Crunch. That's
Yeah, I don't
interesting.
call it Crunch Bar though. I just say, can somebody give me a Crunch, please? But Nestle Crunch, yeah.
That's great. Okay, I love it. LaLa, thank you so much. This was a
Thank you. It
pleasure.
was such a pleasure talking to you.
That was LaLa Anthony. I put links below to Power the Shy, her Instagram account, and her books. You probably figured out by now that I actually do care about what people really think and really feel. So do drop a comment and I will check it out. And please subscribe for more of my intimate talks with your favorite celebrities. I drop a new video once or twice a week, and if you tap the notifications bell, then you'll be notified as soon as a new talk is ready. I'm Kara. Thanks for watching. See you soon.